You're being grilled in an argument with your spouse or significant other. You feel as though you're being pushed into a corner to have to defend yourself, to over-explain yourself. You feel as though you're in survival mode. What do? Well, most of the time, we come out of that corner reacting. We're engaging with them, wrenching it up, getting angrier and angrier, louder and louder. But has that ever solved any of those arguments? No. If you're tired of no solution and want to actually get to the point where you can communicate with your spouse or significant other, you'll want to watch this video. Hey friends, Ashley Berges back today. And today I want to talk about changing from reacting in a heated argument to responding. When we respond, we stand in our power. And we realize that these arguments are not about survival mode. It's just an argument, okay? And so we want to talk about ending that unhealthy dysfunction in this video and being able to be the voice of reason, right? So we can understand the situation and create some resolve. For many of you, the situation you found yourself is that your spouse or significant other is getting extremely loud, yelling, screaming, maybe even throwing things, or maybe even trying to grab you. And so what happens is that emotion becomes more wrenched up. We start to engage, we react, we escalate the situation, and nothing gets solved. And so we got to kind of step back and say to ourselves, what can I do to change this? It's not healthy. It's not providing solution. So what can I do to calm myself down, to calm the situation down, and to actually come up with an understanding? One caveat before I talk about the steps of working on response instead of reaction. I found that many of us, when we engage in this reaction in an argument, we get nothing worked out. We find ourselves apologizing to the other person to try to resolve the situation. We find ourselves actually trying to get back into the good graces of the other person because this has become a cycle, right? They start an argument, they question our reality or our truth. You react because you're angry about it because you haven't done anything wrong, and this is like the third argument in a week, and it becomes this circular logic. You wrench it up, and then they get angry about the way that you react to them, and then you find yourself apologizing for wrenching it up when they started the argument. Okay, so I just want to put out the reality right there. And I want you to realize that in these situations, we really need to think about why we always find ourselves defending ourselves. Okay, so this is going to really help to really step back, see the situation for what it is, really analyze the argument, and decide how we really want to respond. The first thing that I want you to do is to take an actual physical step back from the other person. And I'm not talking about a theatrical step back where you're like, look at me, I'm stepping back. I want you to take the step back so that you get some more perspective. I want you to get away from them just a little bit so you have your own room and so that their energy is not like bombarding you. I want you to have a little bit of your own space so you can feel confident in that space and feel secure. Think about it. You know when people invade our space, when they get too close to us, how we feel fight or flight, how we feel stressed out even more? I don't want you to feel boxed in. I want you to feel like you have room to move, okay? So remember that when any argument's about to start, step back physically, get that distance so that you feel calm and collected. The second thing that I want you to do is I want you to see them as a character in a movie. Okay, I know that sounds wild. But remember the last movie you saw and you watched the characters, you didn't get so angry. I mean, you might have had some emotion, but you're able to distance yourself because it's a movie. It's not in your household, right? So I want you to think about that person as being a character. And you're listening to them and you're listening to their plight, right? Whatever it is that they're arguing about, you're listening to it, you're taking it in. But that helps us to keep some emotional distance, right? So trying to keep emotional distance is like watching them almost like you're watching them on a screen. And it's helped because we've taken that step back to get a little more perspective. The third thing that I want you to do is to catch yourself going into defense mode, to fight or flight mode. By the way, you are not being chased by a lion right now, okay? So remember this. This is somebody else, probably married to or in a relationship with. It's not a lion. So I want you to catch yourself when you go into that defense mode. Why are you going into it? What are you trying to defend? Okay, so think about that, because if you haven't done anything wrong, there is no argument. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, why defend yourself when there's no necessary reason to do it, unless it's just the way you always respond? We find ourselves in these loops, right? We find ourselves in these loops where our significant other starts an argument, we wrench it up, we get engaged, we fight for it, we try to express our truth, they don't ever listen, we turn it back around again, we do it again, we have that cycle. Why continue the cycle when it hasn't worked the previous 40 times? Okay, so I want you to be aware of that. It's not fight or flight mode. There is no massive lion chasing you to eat you. This is an argument happening in your kitchen right now with somebody you know quite well. The fourth thing that I want you to do is actually honestly listen to the argument. I want you to listen to it so that you can hear all the holes in the logic. So you can actually hear how circular this argument is and how it's probably not even necessary to have the conversation, right? When we actually listen to the other person, we can find all the issues in whatever they're saying, but if we get emotionally wrenched up, we end up arguing something that really just doesn't even hold water to begin with. So this is really good to analyze and to understand, to see how you want to respond, even if you do want to respond, how to respond calmly and be able to do that in the right way, directly related to the actual argument that they're presenting. Number 5, wait. Just wait. I don't want you to give them your power. Okay? They want to get your power. They want to have that. They want you to wrench up so that they have supply. Okay? When you wrench up, you're giving into them, you're creating this, you're fueling this argument, and you're actually giving them what they want. So why do it? Why continue to give them what they want when it doesn't make you feel good? And I want you to realize this because it's been a cycle, right? Cycles, especially negative cycles, have to come to an end, okay? And so I need you to realize when you begin to wrench it up, you've lost your power, you're giving them your power, you're giving them supply, what they want, and you're encouraging them to do this over and over again, right? It becomes a programmed response. The sixth thing that I want you to do is to remain calm, okay? When we get into an argument like this and somebody's wrenching it up, usually we forget to really breathe. And we start breathing that really heavy chest breath, right? I need you to really focus on deep breathing, okay? Almost like meditation. We're going to have arguments in our life. We're going to have people that don't see our truth. We don't need to get wrenched up to it, right? We don't need to lose our feeling of tranquility every time someone wants to argue with us about something, okay? So I want you to just kind of calm it down and start breathing deeply, getting oxygen in, and the more you're breathing and focusing on your breathing, the less you're really focusing on them wrenching it up, okay? So you're disengaging that emotion and you're actually focusing on your well-being, okay? And this is important because, you know, stress can kill us, so we need to be aware of that. As you can see throughout a lot of these steps, it really doesn't have anything to do with them. It has to do with you. And so the seventh one is that I want you to begin to ask yourself the question, why is it that I feel that I have to defend myself if I've done nothing wrong? It's become a cycle, okay? When we do things, it becomes habit. When we feel like we have to do it, it becomes habit. So I want you to ask yourself that question. If this is another one of those defenses where you're defending yourself and you've done nothing wrong, why do we continue this? Is it because it's just old school and this is the way we've always done it? I think it's time to make a change, right? And I think that when we actually step back and instead of reacting, we realize that if we've done nothing wrong, what's the purpose of engaging in this conversation? So taking that time to breathe and asking yourself that question is highly important to ending this vicious negative cycle. The eighth thing that I want you to do is that if they are still wrenching it up, I want you to let them know that you will come back once they've calmed down. There is no need to be in a place where you fear your safety. There is no need to be around a situation that is increasing your heart rate and making you feel bad. Okay, so remember, you have the choice, you have the power to remove yourself from a situation that is not helping you, that is not providing something good for your life. Okay, so I need you to remember that. And only you can control you. And so if they're wrenching it up, timeout for you. You go take a timeout. Hey, I'll be back when you calm down. I'll talk to you in a little while. Take off. Get out of there. Drive the car. Go somewhere. Take a walk down the street. Go to the park. Do whatever you have to do, but get out of there because it's not adding to your quality of life. And remember, the longer you stay, the more likely you are to engage. The last thing that I want you to do is to begin to realize the part that you've played in these escalations of these arguments. Okay? That's the key, is that it's a two-way street, right? We're helping to escalate these situations, and if we're not stepping back and doing what I just talked about in this video, we're probably engaging. And when we engage, we're giving the other person what they want. And we're encouraging them to continue this unpleasant, negative behavior, okay? And so remember, we get what we give. And so if we're giving that to them and they continue to use that in a negative way, we're basically creating that. And so we need to realize that, and we need to limit our escalations on this. And this is exactly how you do it, but it takes time, and it takes consistency, and it takes practice. Practice makes perfect, and when we're able to step back emotionally and really see the situation for what it is, not giving fuel to the fire and not escalating it, right? Eventually something has to change. Now, the arguments might calm down. Maybe the other person won't argue with you so much. Or maybe you'll start making decisions that you deserve something better in your life. So one way or another, change will occur. But change must begin with you. I hope this video has helped you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And share this video with any family or friends who might be dealing with this situation, because it helps to get the word out. And it also helps to get them some knowledge they might need to de-escalate a situation at home that's causing them pain and suffering. In the comment section below, let me know of anything else that you've imparted to calm down an argument. You know, arguments are not something that's pleasant. It's not something that we want to be a part of. And the quicker we can de-escalate a situation, the better off we are. Don't forget to live your true life.